Greetings, groovy people! Welcome to the channel. This is Blue Dragon Art. I am the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon, and this is a channel where I discuss primarily indie art projects that interest me or that I work on. Sometimes I'm talking about my free not safe for work webcomic Dark Horse. Links for that are down in the description. Other times I'm talking about projects like zine submissions, like the one that I'm working on today. You probably can hear in my voice that I sound like shit. I am working through being sick. We've dodged COVID this long, and finally, just because all the mask restrictions are down, he finally contracted it from work and gave it to me. So I've actually been counting my blessings because it's not nearly as bad for me as it was for him. And I know that it's been better for us because we've had all our vaccines and everything, and it's probably less deadly of a strain by this point. But I've actually been, it's just like a bad cold for me personally. I haven't had any issues with like taste or anything like that. It's just sore throat, drainage, stuff like that. I'm just now starting to get stuffy, and I've been sick since Sunday. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough to function and be able to keep working in the morning, keep the house picked up. You know, between him and I, we've been taking the dogs out. So it's not nearly as bad for me as I realize that it is for a lot of people. So you're not going to hear me bitch and moan here on camera. I will save that for off camera. I'm going to be talking about the page that I'm working on in the background, which is part of my submission to Comic Fury Zine, the Psychedelica Zine. This is the third page in the story. It's a little bit of spoilers, but I'm actually going to be working on a much larger expanded version of this that I'm going to be posting online. And also, if I can get my shit together, I would like to submit this to Silver Sprocket Comics, who are taking comic submissions in August of this year. So this is just the abbreviated version for the Comic Fury Zine, but I've been having a lot of fun being very experimental with it. The main character, this whole thing is based loosely off of a comic book called Kristina Kool. The main character in my story is Kristina Kool, where to kind of assume that perhaps she is a descendant of him. Not really. It's just, it could also be an alternate world. Who knows? The story that he wrote was very out there, especially for the time, and so I wanted to have a lot of fun experimenting, telling like an adventure story, and just experimenting with colors and combinations, and I'll talk more about the influences in just a couple minutes. But the titular character here, this Kristina Kool, I am picturing her as like a female Captain Jack Harkness. And for those of you who don't know who that is, I was a big Doctor Who fan. I still do like Doctor Who. I just I don't have access to it, so I don't keep up with it anymore. But Jack Harkness was a reoccurring character in Doctor Who during like the Tenet, and I don't know, did he ever show up during the Smith run of Doctor Who? I can't remember, but I absolutely love the character. I've watched all of the Torchwood series. I think I have, I have all the DVDs, and I think I have the movie. I can't remember if Mom got me that for Christmas or not, but I loved the character of Jack Harkness, and so that's kind of like what I wanted to capture with Kristina. She's a captain of just a ship, a cargo ship, kind of like the original Kristina Kool, only I don't know if I can't remember. At the beginning of the story, they talk about like he either sold it or got rid of it, or it was broken or something. But she is kind of influenced by that. But also I was thinking like the whole space trucking episode of Cowboy Bebop with the woman trucker. So kind of that, in that spirit is what I created this character. That's what I wanted her to embody. So she's a free spirit with an open heart and an open mind. You'll notice that her colors are pink, blue, and yellow. It's very intentional. Those of you who know what I'm doing there. But that's kind of like where I was going with the character. Within the story, within the whole, 6-page story that I'm telling here, the whole thing is just jam-packed with musical references, almost exclusively references to psychedelic bands, although on this page there is a reference to the song All Right Now by Free. But also it's a story that's like kind of a combination of Kristina Kool, Alice in Wonderland, and Yellow Submarine. There's some other 60s comic influences that I've been kind of pulling from, but I haven't read the whole story for. And I might talk about that later, or I might save that for like a Patreon blog. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing with the story. I'm trying to take and pull all these influences from the psychedelic 60s era, as well as some of my own modern influences. Later on, I have like a reference to like Lady Gaga, but that I'm not going to talk about, because if you see it and you recognize it, you'll recognize it, and if you don't, it's fine. You don't have to. I tried to find colors that went very well together. So, like for the first panel, I wanted to make sure that I kept Chris a cooler color to kind of keep with the theme of the character. So she's blue. The other character is purple because she's a combination of cool and passionate. And then like the pink, instead of just using red, I'm using pink to kind of signify passion. That's why I had the heart colored pink in the other eye. That's kind of the impetus between the color choice in the first panel. And then when the King's Men come in, I want it to be starkly contrasted with how all the colors have been desaturated. I might talk about this later, or again, I might save this for a blog, but the White King is primarily inspired by, of course, Alice in Wonderland, like the chess pieces, but also I was actually picturing more so like a King Haggard from The Last Unicorn, which I've read both the book and seen the anime, or the movie. It's I guess it's a movie, it's technically, I don't know, it falls somewhere in between. It's Japanese animated, but it was written by Peter S. Beagle, who's a fantastic author.
Yes. The sea is always good. There is nothing that I can look at for very long.
Like, I wanted the whole thing with the Pearly Queen. In earlier pages, she's the character, her people were fair with sky in their hair, but like she's been convinced to come down from the heavens and marry the White King because he was bedazzled by her, which is the subtext, and I'll get into that probably with the extended version of the story. But his main influence was King Haggard in that everything he touches, because he's never satisfied with what he has, gets desaturated and drained of all color, devoid of color. I mean, it's not going to be that tragic because this is a very light-hearted story. So, I mean, it's not going to be that deep, but those are like the ideas that I'm thinking of and drawing from. And that's why I wanted this page to have that stark comparison between the color being drained out and the passionate red in the second panel, where it's kind of like a combination of passion but also alert. The red is for the alert, and then the colors that Kristina has on in that panel was more, you know, kind of like from the passion that they were experiencing before they were interrupted. So that's kind of the idea, you know, behind that coloring. And then when you get down to like the lower part of the page, the character has been kind of drained of her color because she's in prison in this white room, and she's finding her own way to get her color back and escape. And so that's where I kind of like start introducing color back to her while keeping the color of the kingdom still drained and devoid of any saturation or anything. So that aspect of it was kind of influenced by Yellow Submarine, where the blue meanies, everything gets, you know, desaturated. So you can see where I'm hitting it over the hammer. I probably don't need to explain all this stuff, but I know that there's probably some in the audience who are not familiar with these pieces of pop culture. So that's why I'm kind of going into detail and explaining what the influences were. Also, I need something to talk about, right? But yeah, and the last panel, as I was saying, that's essentially Kristina regaining her color as she's escaping from the Glass Onion Station. The Glass Onion? It's the bent back tulips are in front of it. One last thing that I really want to talk about for this specific page is the top part of the page is a flashback. Because when I start the story, she's in the white room, but then I have like the pink gradation kind of indicate the flashback. Normally I would use black borders to indicate a change in time or specifically like a flashback, but in this case, because everything's supposed to be psychedelic and colorful, I'm using pink as like the gradation, and then I just put it through like a graphite pen filter. I think I did a couple other things to it, but that was what I did to get kind of that scratchy gradation. I really like that effect. I got the opinion of my partner on that one, so I think it looks okay. For the page that is in between these, the whole background's going to have that to indicate that it's all part of the flashback. I'm mostly happy with my progress on this comic so far. I now only have 2 pages left to do, but there are also going to be some of the harder pages because of detail, and also I gotta rewrite the text because I had some spelling errors, and everything here has been handwritten, except for like on this specific page I do have that Elon-Z, which is a Doctor Who reference, by the way. Also, it's not only a Doctor Who reference, it's also a tip of the hat to Kaza, who wrote Kristina Kool. He was a French artist, or he is a French artist. He's still alive today. Yeah, I'm happy with how the page is turning out. The hand lettering has been a little bit of a challenge for me. Anyone who reads Dark Horse knows that usually I just use a font that I created. But yeah, this has been a bit of a challenge just because writing neatly is not my strong point, and coming up with interesting kind of psychedelic fonts is not my strong point. But I think that I've been doing okay, and I think it's legible. I've gone back and rewritten quite a bit and scanned it in whenever I needed to, like for the word bubbles. Those have all been rewritten from the original inking because it was illegible and kind of messed up. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with this project. I'm really stoked to get it completed because I got another project that I'm working on, and then I got the expanded version of this project, and then I got Dark Horse that I gotta work on. Oh my god, you guys, it's insane. It's insane how much stuff I have to do right now, but I love working on these projects, and it's certainly well worth it. So when the zine is released on July 15th is when we're doing it this year. I will definitely do a tour. It is not safe for work, so I'll have to stamp it as not safe for work, but if you are, which you should be of legal age because my channel is for adults only, but if that's something that you're not overly sensitive on, please keep an eye out for it, because I do want to do a tour and show off all the fantastic work that everyone's been doing. The comic this year, I mean, it's always fantastic, but this year I can see just how much passion people have been putting into this. It seems very personal for a lot of people. That's my words, don't put that in their mouths. But I'm just so incredibly excited about this. So yeah, I'll definitely be doing a tour. Thank you all for watching. I'm gonna close now because I'm really tired and I need to rest. I need to not talk. I'll be back next week with audio that I pre-recorded. It's going to be my Q&A. Oh my god, it's such a long video. It's the video about how to make a video, which I'm not the person to teach anyone how to do that, but I do my best showing you how I make my videos, so I won't sound so congested and nasty in that video. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you all for watching. Support indie artists. Peace and love. Fare you well. And keep on trucking.